What's up, everybody? It's the Crypto Crow. First comment I saw, Bitcoin time traveler, someone struggling for content. I got a kick out of that. That was a good one, Phil. No, it's actually not about that. I've read this, and look, I don't think the guy's a time traveler, but the guy's sharp, and the story he tells reads like a fantastic sci-fi book. Did you sleep through your workout today? I did not. I actually went, but I kind of slacked off after like the first 40 minutes. These allergies have just been kicking my butt so bad that I've just been drained of all energy. And I didn't even eat this morning. I went to Orange Theory at 12. I'm not even sure what I did. I don't think I really accomplished that much. I know I didn't get all my splat points, which I'm really kind of pissed about because it's really one of the main reasons I even do this damn thing. Let me see. History. I attended. Oh, it's not giving me. Hold on. I don't know. I'm on their app. The app is pretty slick. Okay, so today. Wow, that's crazy. I don't even understand how that's so. Monday, May 20. So today, the 29th, you can see kind of, I don't know if it can focus or not. I only burned 800 calories and I only got 6 splat points. The splat points are if you get 12, if you get to 12, you get your heart rate up high enough for a period of time. Then your splat points means that you're going to go into afterburn, which means you're burning calories for the next 24 hours, even when you're not working out. So that's my goal, but I am going. As you saw, that's evidence. I am going. My wife is making me go again tomorrow, even though I really don't. And I rocked that row machine out. I was like pulling like 600s on that. Like they have these water rowers. And so for like, a minute at some sessions, you're supposed to go all out and you just, you crank it. I was grunting, and there's a number on there. And I'm like looking at other people, they're like 200 or 300. I was like 600, just cranking that shit. And the dude was like, dude, you're going to rip the water rower off the ground. But anyway, it is a fun class and I do like it. But man, today I just felt like from start to finish, I was on empty the second I walked in just because of these allergies. So anyway, we're going to get to this. Bitcoin's at about 86.47, a tiny little dip. This is a weekly chart. And I'm starting to just kind of look and see, for whatever reason, I feel like I'm getting a clearer picture as to what's coming and what's happening, just looking at the price action on a weekly chart. No Fight Club updates on YouTube. I did post one though. So let me see here. I mean, overall, the price, I'm not even overly concerned with the price right now. Jason Theobald should be doing your diet too. I actually got a diet from him a while back, and I didn't follow through with it. I had a personal trainer for a while who's a friend of mine. That kind of made it a little difficult because we were friends. We used to be roommates back in the day, and of course, he's all swelled up and jacked up and huge, and great guy, super smart, but it's like I don't know. It's like you don't want to work out, you want to hang out. You know what I mean? And I think this Orange Theory is going to be good. I just need to really build into it more. Are you still doing that CBS network TV show on crypto? No, I opted out of that a long time ago. I ended up going with Biz TV. It's been cool. I know that I'm apparently still one of their most watched shows on the Biz TV network, because they get like tons of like emails and questions and things like that. I don't see any of it, but they tell me about it. And we just sent them like another Crypto Beatles and Monarch kind of sponsored a 13 episode series, like a new season of episodes where he paid for all 13 episodes to be edited for television off my channel and sent them off. So I'm pretty sure those have been airing, and they rerun my shows I think like twice a week. So at some point in the future I want to do some really high quality stuff, but until then I'm just going to still be scrubbing it here in my basement. So anyway, here's the thing. Fact or fiction, the Bitcoin time traveler has been right since 2010. Now I'm going to pull up his actual post. This is the actual Reddit post that's, well, this is 5 years ago. So this is posted by somebody else. I don't even think this is the original act. Maybe it was. But 5 years ago, I think there was another one prior to this. And then I think it might have been reposted. What's up, Rusty? Looks like Sajal's getting those, we're getting that paperwork done for them miners. I'm going to be so pumped when his miners go online, because I know, like, once he gets hooked on this and he starts seeing that, oh, and just so everybody knows, crowmining.com, we sold out of this batch of miners. We sold 100 units in a week and a half. So, we're working on the next batch, but this one is sold out. So I guess people that are placing orders, anybody that places orders at crowmining.com are basically going to be pushed into the next batch. But I think the prices are going to be like $120, $150 more. It's not even us. It's just the suppliers. It's how they control the market. So tell me in chat if you guys think I should read this entire thing. Like, it's not insanely long, but there's a lot of stuff that is discussed in this. Here's the thing. I don't think this guy's a time traveler from 2025 or I think it's funny, that anybody thinks we would have the technology for time travel by 2025. And I used to study time travel when I was younger. And I love just the bullet points. And I love the idea of time travel. But for a lot of the science that I'd read on time travel is that you could potentially go into the future, but not the past. And it's all basically relevant to this, being able to travel at the speed of light, and the way that, time is a linear construct, and that, time and space could be like utilizing wormholes and this and that and another thing, and that it could be potentially, like, you could potentially travel into the future, because if you were traveling at the speed of light, you could travel 1 year at the speed of light, and when you come back, like 100 years have passed on Earth. So something crazy like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but that's real. Like, you could potentially travel into the future in that sense, but you can't travel into the past. And there's obviously this whole, thing about, parallel dimensions, parallel universes, and time frames and all kinds of stuff. The blunt of it is, I don't think time travel is real. Okay. However, I remember the story of here. I don't know if any of you guys know of this guy. You want to read some really insane and cool, and that's another thing. I need to go back and read this stuff myself. A time traveling hero, or the internet's first hoax. Who is John Titor? This guy. So back in the day, I used to read a lot of AboveTopSecret.com and all that stuff. And this guy was like the first time traveler that nobody could debunk. And this guy went on and posted all kinds of stuff, from pictures of like these drawings, all this stuff, documents, all kinds of things from his time and what he used to get here. He explained the science of how he got here, why he was coming. Talked about a lot of civil unrest. What I haven't done is cross-reference this with this other guy's thing. The story of John Titor is like, this is him apparently bending a laser light. And this is a photo allegedly to be from 2035 showing the demonstration of a handheld laser. Reading this guy, and this is like a kind of it looks like a Cliff Notes version of everything John Titor put out. And it's pretty interesting stuff. I'm not going to lie. If there was anything in the world that would convince me time travel were possible, it would be the story of John Titor. And I don't think anybody to this date has debunked him. And so if you're interested in that, just Google John Titor and start reading, man. Like, if you can find the original website, because there was a curator, and that's what I was trying to find. There's a curator who... One thing that I do remember, though, that when John Titor was talking about a lot of stuff, is that I don't remember him ever mentioning any kind of cryptocurrency. So I'd have to go back and look, and maybe he mentioned it back then, but nobody had a clue what the hell he was talking about, so it was just kind of blown off. But so I'll have to look deeper into this. But 9 best John Titor pictures. There's a website with all of his stuff on it, and that's what you have to find. And maybe if anybody's interested, I'll look for it another time, and I'll update everybody. So anyway, this is the guy. I don't even know it. Luca Magnotta. I'm sure that's probably either a pseudonym or like I don't know what the hell it is. Probably something just made up. I highly doubt the guy would use his real name if he were in fact a time traveler. But from 2025, like, you know, we're already in that. That's like 6 years. I don't really think we're going to experience anybody traveling in time. The guys, I don't see all this stuff happening in just 6 years. But you know, so I read this with a perspective of what point is this guy trying to make? Not, oh, we have a time traveler and he's real and believe everything he says. But what's the overall point to what this guy's trying to say? And I'm going to read some of the stuff that he discusses. I won't read the whole thing. Sounds like everybody's more interested in Cliff Notes. Yeah, if anybody's going to invent time travel, it'd probably be Elon Musk. That'll probably be like the late models of Teslas after the flying versions. I still don't have a Tesla. I know Joe Rogan loves his, and they do sound insanely cool, but I don't have one. All right, so on average every year, the value of Bitcoin is increased by about a factor of 10. From $0.1 in 2010 to $1 in 2011 to $10 in 2012 to $1,000 in 2013. From now on, there's a slight slowdown as the value increased by a factor of 10 every 2 years to $1,000 in 2015 to $10,000 in 2017. Wrong. We had like $19,800 something dollars at the tail end of 2017. And everybody refers to the bull run of the last bull run Bitcoin being 20 grand. It never hit exactly $20,000, but it was close enough that everybody says it was 20 grand. So if you're a time traveler from just 6 years into the future, or even like 8 years into the future, you're going to know it was a $20,000 Bitcoin in 2017 and continued into 2018 where then it started to go down. So yes, this was accurate, but still inaccurate specifically. So that I'm kind of like, all right, whatever. But this was also posted a while back, and it's close enough. But there you go. Now he's saying $110,000 in 2019. Okay, that could be possible if you think about it. My recent video, I talked about how Bitcoin could very easily be $140,000 by 2020. If that were going to be the case, it's very likely that Bitcoin could end up becoming $100,000 by the end of this year and continue on into the $140,000 range. Because that is ultimately a third. So from starting at 2013, you know, you have to watch the video that I did this week, $140,000 Bitcoin, where I kind of broke it down. But basically, it was like it went from a 30,000% increase from $5. Then it was like a $9,000, roughly or 86.75, something like that, percentage increase in the next bull market. And that was basically a 3.3. It was like less than a third ultimately of the previous bull run, which I calculated basically another third of that into the next bull run. And that basically gave us $140,000 Bitcoin in 2020. And I think that's entirely probable. I truly think that's entirely probable. And so it could potentially make sense that Bitcoin does hit $100,000 in 2019. And if it does, I'll be a happy camper. And a lot of other people will as well. So we'll see. And then he's saying $1 million by 2021. That's basically giving it a year to go from what I predicted to be in 2020, $140,000, to then $1 million in 2021. Well, what I don't necessarily agree with here is if Bitcoin were to hit $140,000 in 2020, which I do see being very possible, it's likely now. And here's the difference between two things, or 2 points. If Bitcoin were to get to $140,000 in 2020, a lot of that money is likely going to start coming in from institutional money, right? A lot of these institutions, when they buy this money up, when they buy up this Bitcoin, they're buying it up because they believe in the economics of it wholeheartedly. And it's not very likely that these guys are going to buy it 1 month, go through all this trouble to buy it, finally, and then turn around and dump it all a couple months later, predicting a bear market. And if they do buy a significant sum of Bitcoin, the supply is going to be significantly less than we're used to. And because of that, there's going to be much less selling. Now, this is the sense I'm making it. If not as many people are selling it because the institutions have been buying it up over the counter, they've been buying it up on exchanges, then they're going to start using a lot of these new custody solutions and Fidelity and Goldman Sachs and all of these other major players, and they're going to start buying it up that way. The retail market is ultimately selling themselves out of its own market. So we're basically handing this market to the institutions as we speak. Every time a retail investor buys and then sells it, it's likely it's some sort of institutional player that's buying it up. And so because of that transition, so we've had like 2017, this transfer of wealth go into the retail investors' hands, a lot of newcomers to the space, a lot of these people, and this FOMO and the press and media and everybody buying and hyping it. Well, I think we're going to get that again. And I think we're going to get a lot more people this time around than the previous bull market, and then a lot more people compared to the previous bull market thereafter. And so we're creating this cycle effect, this cyclical economy of cryptocurrency. And it's all based off of newcomers coming into the space, the people that came before them selling off to them at their highs because they have a better fundamental understanding as to what to expect and when things are going to happen and what's going on. But now we've got the big, it's almost like the kids have been playing and now the parents are coming home. And the parents realize you're playing with very expensive toys and they're going to take them from you. And that's kind of how I look at it from an institutional standpoint. So it's very likely that these institutions could drive up the value of Bitcoin to $1 million in 2021. I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm just saying that if it's left in the hands of the retail market, I don't see it as being very likely. Now, there are just over 19 million Bitcoin known to be used in the world today. There are a few 100,000 that were permanently lost. I think it's actually more than that. And we're still dealing with a population of just over 7 billion people today. On average, this means that the average person owns just under 0.003 Bitcoin. Remember, I did that one video where I talked about could a Satoshi be worth $1 someday? I hadn't even seen any of this stuff at that point. So this is what makes this article interesting. However, due to the unequal distribution of wealth in my world, the mean person owns just 0.001 Bitcoin. That's right. Most of you reading this today are rich. I personally live next to an annoying young man who logged into his old Reddit account 2 years ago and discovered that he received a tip of 0.01 Bitcoin back in 2013 for calling someone a faggot when he was a 16-year-old boy. Upon making this discovery, he bought an airline ticket, left his house without telling anyone anything, and went to a citadel. The luxuries of the interwebs. And then he goes in to discuss what citadels are and how basically a lot of the wealthy Bitcoin holders have these citadels and these gated, private, protected communities and all this other stuff. Now, and this brings me to another point that I've been pondering. In my world, soon to be your world, most governments no longer exist, as Bitcoin transactions are done anonymously, and thus most governments can enforce no taxation on their citizens. Most of the success of Bitcoin is due to the fact that Bitcoin turned out to be an effective method to hide your wealth from the government. whereas people entering rogue states like Luxembourg, Monaco, and Liechtenstein were followed by unmanned drones to ensure that governments know who is hiding wealth. No such option was available to stop people from hiding their money in Bitcoin. Now, this actually brought me to a point. Realistically, when you're talking about cryptocurrency transactions and taxation, well, the government was right all over it. I mean, the second this started busting out, government came right out immediately and said, okay, now we're taking some. Like before they've offered and done nothing whatsoever to help support it. If anything, they've helped thwart it. And now they're wanting to take their cut. That really, really bothers me. But there's just nothing you can do about it. It's either pay the piper or go to prison, right? And so, when you're talking about the taxation of cryptocurrency, and then they come out and they say, well, because of chain analysis, we're able to, tell everybody, how much Bitcoin you have and how much you've made in cryptocurrency and how much you owe us. But we're not going to tell you that. We want you to tell us. And then if you're wrong, well, then you go to jail, right? It's just this scare tactic. Well, the reality is that the majority of people cashing out cryptocurrency profits are cashing them out on the exchange level. CoinBase and basically other exchanges that allow you to, convert your Bitcoin into cash and then transfer it directly into your bank account. Well, that is monitored. So, that's honest, to be quite frank, that's what I did last year. When I cashed out Bitcoin and I sold it and I paid off bills and all that stuff, I did it through Coinbase. And so my accountant is calculating all of that, all those transactions for my tax purposes. That they can easily track. I mean, and the thing of it is that there's this new regulation that's going to start coming out where, I mean, pretty soon you're going to have to provide DNA samples as part of your AML KYC when you sign up for an exchange account, because the government wants to not only know who you are, but now they want to know what you're doing. And they're wanting exchanges to ultimately start keeping track of its customers' trades. Which I guess in a way it's not like an impossible thing, but to put that on exchanges, to me is kind of bullshit. Like, obviously, preparing to launch an exchange, you got to do what you got to do, but it's so as if exchanges don't have enough to worry about. I think the government really needs to focus on stopping hacks. And being able to track, if your chain analysis can tell everybody exactly what they made in crypto to confirm their taxes, why can't you track down these hackers and fucking arrest them? That's what it's all such bullshit to me. And it's like, why can't you just get real about it? Start doing some good for the space instead of thwarting everything, shutting down a lot of stuff, taking your cut, and then making matters worse. There's more fraudulent terrorist activity using fiat currencies than there are cryptocurrencies. And so it's all to me just like a big ploy. And it kind of leads me to this whole kind of concept of when I see big articles like this and they break down this guy breaks down a whole bunch of stuff that I find extremely interesting, talking about the countries and the nations who are kind of pseudo left standing, and how in Africa, surveys show that an estimated 70% of people believe that Bitcoin was invented by the devil himself. There's a reason for this. It's a very sensitive issue that today is generally referred to as the tragedy. The African Union had ambitious plans to help its citizens be ready to step over to Bitcoin. Governments gave their own citizens cell phones for free, tied to their government ID, and thus government sought to integrate Bitcoin into their economy. All went well until the tragedy. That is, a criminal organization believed to be located in Russia exploited a hardware fault and the government issued cell phones. It's believed that the entire continent of Africa lost an estimated 60% of its wealth in a period of 48 hours. You know why I think this is bullshit? Because Cardano's not even mentioned. I mean, let's face it, man, with all of the infrastructure that Cardano and Charles Hoskinson and all, I mean, I don't even see these guys really operating off of Bitcoin. They're all building a whole foundational infrastructure using Cardano. Why would Bitcoin be like the end all be all for them? And the fact of the matter is that this thing is this guy makes it sound like Bitcoin is this, of course it's this store of wealth, but people aren't going to be using Bitcoin like this story kind of leads you to believe they are. This is basically saying, look, all governments collapsed because they can no longer, tax cryptocurrency. And because of the inflation of the dollar and the, deflationary methods of Bitcoin, that Bitcoin so far surpasses fiat currency that people don't even use it anymore, because Bitcoin is what you hold to make you rich. And then you spend parts of it to live your life. Well, that's ultimately the fucking plan, isn't it? And if it does basically thwart the government's ability to control the populace across multiple continents, well, so be it. I mean, to me, I kind of look at cryptocurrency as it is kind of a way out. It is kind of a way of kind of breaking the ties that bind in a negative way. And I honestly, I hope Bitcoin does kind of contribute to that to an extent. I just think I'm tired of being controlled by a group of people who are solely working towards the benefit of their contributors and whoever has the most money. And maybe a lot of these politicians, why can't these politicians invest in cryptocurrency, make a few $1 billion on their own, and get out of the pockets of all these people that are pulling the strings, and then maybe they'll see the light and start doing some things that actually benefit the citizens of these countries, including our own. I just think that, it's a shame where the few control the many for the benefit of the few, even in politics and regulation and whatever. Nobody wants to see cryptocurrency thrive. And if it is going to thrive against their will, they're still going to find ways to control it. And they're still going to find ways to manipulate it and do what they need to. So it's like, the whole thing, like, while this whole story is frustrating, laugh my ass off, anti-New World Order convert is now speaking. Honestly, you're an ass, Brandon. It's not that how do I explain this? I believe that a new world order, in a sense, could be a good thing. It depends on what its motives are. When I think of a new world order, and I know this makes me sound crazy, and it makes some people like, oh my God, Crow's a freaking conspiracy crazy. It's not even like that. I just think of our planet as a whole. I think of the human race as a whole. I think of us all as one people. Whether you're black or Asian or Indian or whatever the hell you are, or from whatever country, whatever language you speak, we're all still the same people. I'm like 1% black. You know what I mean? Like if I did my DNA testing, and it's like I am so many different things. I'm primarily British, apparently, which I find interesting because I don't even think most British people like me. But, my wife is like primarily Irish, and, it's like, it doesn't matter what country you live in or where you're from. None of that matters. We are a human race. And I believe that we're never truly going to be able to discover or find or work with or move forward with anything outside of this planet until everyone on this one can cohesively work together for the same purpose, sharing resources, sharing knowledge. I don't understand why countries have to be at war ever for any reason. Obviously, there are religious beliefs, which that takes me to a whole nother level of confusion in all of this. But outside of that, why can't the human race just focus on being a productive human race and gather its resources and its minds and its scientists and all this other shit and start taking us out of here? Let's start exploring. Let's start creating the real version of Star Trek. And that's the only reason why I believe that potentially a new world order could be beneficial to the human race. It just depends on how it's structured and what it actually ends up meaning. If it's like, oh, well, we're going to bind everybody together so that these 5 guys can control the entire globe. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But if we could all be kind of working together and maybe through blockchain, I'm like rambling. I mean, a part of me does think a new world order could be possibly a good thing. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I think, since, George Bush, basically proclaimed a new world order during his presidency, there have been millions and millions of conspiracies going. And yeah, it could be a bad thing. It all just depends, I guess, on how it's handled. Like anything else, you can build a handgun, and that's either going to be used for good or bad. Nobody knows until it's done, and ultimately who's holding it. So overall, look, gosh, I've been talking for 30 minutes already. Overall, I definitely see Bitcoin getting to $1 million at some point. I mean, it's a finite deflationary currency. I mean, and the more it's adopted, the more it's used, bought, and stored. As long as there are people that don't have it and want it, and there are more people that have it and hold it, Bitcoin's going to go up. And it's just going to be a matter of time until we're trading in Satoshis. And I've been saying this for a while. It's going to be companies like Turnio, that are basically putting out these products that enable people to spend their cryptocurrency without actually having to use that cryptocurrency because it's too slow. So if you want to spend Bitcoin, well, you'll be able to do that through this Turnio, this block card that I still don't even have. I don't even own Turnio, just to be completely transparent about it. I own none, to my knowledge, unless somebody somehow sent me some. I was going to a while back, but trying to figure out what wallet to use was just it was too much of a hassle back then, so I didn't get any. But projects like that are going to help people utilize their crypto holdings and be able to do quick transactions without actually having to use very slow blockchains, because those transactions are going to happen on the fly. So, look, I think overall Bitcoin's going to be $1 million. Will it be $1 million by 2021? We're just going to have to wait and see what happens with these institutions. This is the big question. Is institutional money going to change the 4-year cycle as we know it today? Because if it's left to retail investments only, and what so-called dumb money, then I see this 4-year cycle basically continuing. We'll see. That's really all I have to say about it. But check this out, and check out John Titor as well. For those of you that are unfamiliar, you guys got to look up John Titor. Just Google him, start reading. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you do some reading on John Titor, I'd be really, really interested to know what you think in the comments of this video. I'm really enjoying the comments recently on these videos. And yeah, so until next time, guys, crow your coins, and I'll see you again soon when something else interesting pops up.